If you allowed your kid to fail their way through school, would that make you the devil? We'll get into that story in just a bit, but first, married his daughter's friend, Oldie. This is my first time posting on Reddit. I know I'll be met with harsh judgment, but I need advice on how to rebuild a relationship with my only daughter. I want to start off by saying I know I was the one who ruined our relationship, but it's been 3 years already. I just don't see why she can't come around. I miss her terribly, and she's my one and only girl, my only child. I should explain. I, 43-year-old male, married my current wife, 21-year-old female, 3 years ago. It had caused quite some backlash from my friends, my community, some of my family members, my ex, and of course my daughter. But I had to marry my wife. She's the only one for me. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's a kind and caring woman. I knew my daughter would have some problems with my marriage, but I never expected how harsh she could have been. She begged me to end this marriage. She pleaded with my wife to leave me. I had to admit, I'm not proud of myself, but I told her that I wished she was never born, that I resented her, and that she meant nothing to me. I already had a rocky relationship with my daughter. She never approved of my relationship with my wife, but we would at least have a talking relationship. Since that day, she hasn't spoken to me since. If I'm being honest, I miss her, and I decided to see on social media how she was doing. She's engaged. I'm her father, and I found out about my own daughter's engagement through social media. That was when I knew I'd made a serious mistake. I don't want to miss out on any more of her milestones in life. I contacted her through social media, but she had blocked me. I want to reach out to her again. I want her back in my life, but I need advice. Okay, well, let's start by not telling your child that you wish she was never born. Let's also maybe at least listen or hear her out when she comes to you with concerns about the relationship you're in. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do what she's asking, but don't just dismiss it. And if you do, and you want to marry her anyway, and you want to say mean things to your daughter, I mean, you can't just, hit the rewind button and turn it back and try again, right? You reap what you sow, Dad, so, just give it some time. Maybe she'll open up, but, for right now, I think trying to force the issue is not a good move. Also, hi, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Am I the Devil videos, it would be so awesome if you left a like or a comment if you're listening to our podcast. That being said, our next story is, am I the devil for only feeding my son tendies? I have an 11-year-old son. His life has not been perfect. His biological dad had to be removed from the picture because he was not mentally and physically okay, and I ended up raising him with a nice person that ate fast food every day. He saw how much easier it made my life when I was stressed, and I could send him to a fast food joint really quick and bam, dinner is done for the night. Not healthy, no need to come for my neck. I see the wrong in the behavior too, and half of it was me allowing it. College with a child is challenging. Anyways, I fed him baby food from the jar until he was way too old for it. I cooked every morning and night for him until he was about 5, when he was introduced to the beauty of the McDonald's chicken nugget. I'm not with the man I raised him with anymore, and I'm in a new relationship, with a man who was raised to not leave the table until everything was gone. He wakes up and can eat half a pound of taco meat cold. Well, I cook for him every night. He decided to make himself very clear one day that he expected a home-cooked meal at least once a week. But my child has been on an absolute chicken nugget and french fry binge since he was far too young. I'm a bit ashamed to admit it, but I know that the cycle needs to be broken. Herein lies my problem. This man wants this behavior broken overnight, as in starve him out, he'll eventually eat. I was not raised like that. My son snacks on things during the day, but eats once a day, and I make sure he has good vitamins. So tonight, I'm in Walmart grabbing a few snacks, and he's really going in on me. Does he eat anything real? Do you know this is poison? We might as well go inject bleach into him. Is this an overreaction on my partner's part to go in on me like that in public? Or was he justified to call me out in public and tell me to starve him? What are your thoughts on breaking bad food habits? I know there's at least one other mom in here who's had to break her child of eating the same thing over and over. Help. How did you do it? Did you just starve them? Or do they really just grow out of it one day? If you can't tell, I'm not even sure if I'm a real human anymore and I need support. All I do is work, take classes to get my PLS license, and take care of all of the house duties. I feel dehumanized already and called out about things I can't even really control without just being a complete jerk to a child with only one bio parent, me. And I don't know if I can sit back and let a new man bulldoze me into changing behavior so quickly because he used the right cruel-hearted phrases and tactics to make me do so to please himself about something that has no bearing in his life. He's just telling me because he loves me and doesn't want my son, who goes for his medical checkups and doesn't have a cavity in his mouth, to end up dying. Please say something, somebody. Help. How did you break your kid of eating unhealthy food? Okay, first of all, Mom, deep breath. You're doing a great job. Secondly, anyone that's been a parent before listening to this knows that there are times in a child's life where just getting them to eat is half the battle. So if you find something that sticks and that they're consuming, just allow them to eat it. Plus they're kids, their metabolism moves at warp speed. So those negative health effects, they may come back to bite you in your 30s and 40s. But for this child, eating chicken nuggets and fries, there ain't nothing to it. We did way worse than that back in the 80s and 90s. So my advice would be, instead of trying to reform your child, maybe get a new boyfriend, just saying. Dragons, Cats, and Books responded, "This is so gross and horrible on so many levels. I used to know a woman just like this. It was like she spent her entire life as a helpless victim, desperate for a man to come along, tell her what to do and fix her life. And unless it was to please a man, she didn't care about anyone. Did you catch the part where the only time she talks about her son as a feeling, thinking person is in relation to what he did for her? How he was so desperate and helpless, and he gallantly swooped in to save her from suffering. I'll bet that at the time she was single and he was the male, she was emotionally leaning on in a gross, emotionally incestuous way. Then she found another man and her son became a distant afterthought until another man made him an issue." Our next story is, "I think my daughter is too fat for love. I, 34-year-old female, have a daughter, Taryn, 17-year-old female. Taryn is a bigger girl and has struggled with relationships because of it. She recently started talking about this guy that asked her out and they started dating 3 months ago. I'm happy for her, but I worry that this is another soon-to-be failed relationship. He's pretty muscular and I just don't see why he would be into her, since guys that work out like that usually choose slim or fitter girls. She was talking about their upcoming date and my anxiety took over. I asked her if she was sure he actually loved her because they're completely different people. Not to mention, realistically, she's not going to be attractive to most men, so I'm wary about this guy. She asked what I meant, and I tried to explain how all her relationships had ended and how he doesn't look like the kind of guy who would be into her. She got mad at me and started yelling about how I was telling her she's not good enough for him, and I tried to explain I don't mean that, but she ignored me. Now she won't talk to me and I'm still worried, but also feeling bad for what happened. Am I the jerk? Yes, OP, I would say in this situation you are a jerk for making not only a rude comment, but quite frankly a superficial one. It's like you don't know anything about this guy outside the fact that he works out or whatever, but believe it or not, there are other reasons for people to like each other, be attracted to one another. So yeah, this is one that you probably just should have kept to yourself. Let her live a little bit. Fancy and Fab responded, "My daughter is a fat cow not even a mother could love. Yikes on bikes. She's 17. She probably won't marry this guy or even know where he is in 5 years. Let the girl live. And the phrase opposites attract is a thing for a reason." Our next story is, "Sending them away will fix them. I married my husband 5 years after his wife passed. His daughter was 8 at the time and she did not like that he moved on. I admit we met and married fairly quickly, within 1 year, and the road hasn't been easy. Not with her and not with his parents, who still have a torch for his deceased wife. His daughter has been a little withdrawn since the wedding, and I made the offhand suggestion to her when she was grumbling about wishing she lived anywhere but here, that maybe we should look into sending her to a nearby boarding school that one of my friend's daughters went to. It's a beautiful campus and fairly exclusive. My husband has connections to get her enrolled if she wants. She seemed to like the idea, a lot. My husband liked it too, and we started the application process. The in-laws are furious. I'm being accused of telling daughter that I want her out of the house and hate her, which is not true. It'll absolutely make my life easier, and while I'll never tell her that, it's true. I'm sick of dealing with tantrums and childish BS, but at the same time, she's my husband's daughter and I do everything to make it work. I think it speaks volumes that my husband jumped at the opportunity to send her and feel this is the best option for all of us. Edit, just to clarify some things. She's 13 now and 11 when I started dating my husband. I've tried to bond with her, nothing is cutting it. I absolutely care about her. I recognize that our home might not be the best place for her right now, and this is the one possible solution. She'll always be able to come home, and even though the school is literally 20 minutes away, I'll still be sending care packages and things to know we're thinking of her. I'm not a mom. I don't know what it's like to be a parent, but all I know is it's difficult to parent a kid that wants nothing to do with you and would rather be anywhere but in your presence. This one's kind of complicated. On one hand, the child, with her being 13 years old, that's just like prime time, difficult child to deal with age in general. But also, you kind of knew what you were signing up for when you married this guy, You can't wed someone that already has a kid and then, just try to send her off to Alcatraz. It just doesn't work like that. Even if your husband's probably just trying to placate you, by saying, yeah, that's a good idea. We can send her to a boarding school. So I would say, just keep trying to make an honest effort to bridge that gap. Obviously, her mother passed away, so she's dealing with a lot. Just do the best that you can to not overwhelm her, but also, make it clear that like, hey, I love you and I support you. Striker Fan 2008 commented, she was not the jerk until childish BS and tantrums. Lady Incredible responded, she was always the jerk. That's a child. You don't send a child away because they're acting up and you don't like it. You also don't threaten a child with sending them away because while they may agree with it, it may not be because they actually want to leave. It may be because, like they thought, everyone would be better off without them. So why not agree to leave? Signed, a 41-year-old woman that got threatened to be sent back to the foster system that I was in because I was 5 and my stepfather beat me so bad on my face with a belt buckle that I was taken away. So when my family got back semi-custody of me, anytime I didn't act correctly or was too angry, excuse the anger issues, I was a 6-year-old trying to deal with crap, I was threatened to be sent back. I say that to say, to expect a dang 13-year-old whose whole world was rocked at 11 to act accordingly is ridiculous, and there's no yeah but to that crap. You're a crap adult if you don't get that. Not saying you're a crap person. Our next story is, I'm a great teen mom, I can say this. My, female 33 years old, daughter, female 16 years old, is always in a nasty mood and never wants to be around anyone, me especially, even though I'm a good parent, and I give up my time and life for her. She rarely leaves her room other than to go to school, which she doesn't take seriously. She's already been held back 2 grades and is still in her freshman year when she should be a junior. She doesn't have any friends she talks to. All she ever does is watch TV or shove her face with junk food. I'm aware she has depression, but I've done everything in my power to help her. I took her to different therapists and had her take many different medications since she was 11 years old. Nothing ever helps because she still acts the way she does. At this point, I think she does it for attention and to excuse her crappy behavior. Yesterday, I had a talk with her, threatening that if she doesn't get her act together, I'd put her in a military school or a behavioral hospital. She told me she didn't give a crap and that she'd rather be locked up somewhere than be anywhere near me. We got into a screaming match, and that's when I called her an ungrateful little bench. She continued to say she hated me and that she wishes she never existed. We haven't said a word to each other since then. Am I the jerk? I feel like we're missing some information here because it's kind of weird that you're proclaiming to be a great mom, but somehow your daughter also hates you. So, I don't know. I feel like we're only getting selective tidbits of information here. But, yeah, I think therapy is probably the best answer here. Definitely don't gloss over the depression. You've acknowledged that she's depressed, so, get her help. If you can't help, get someone for her that can. Bored German responded, no crap, she won't get better in this environment. A good 80% of my mental health problems went away when I was old enough to move away from my toxic and abusive family. You don't heal in a garden full of poisonous plants. My spare time responded, had a therapist for my last year of high school before moving to another country for uni. Visited said therapist one last time on one final visit back home, and she said that it was very clear I was doing much better in my new environment, even though it had only been a few months. I think it was therapist talk for, good job getting away from your mother and out of that house, lol. Our next story is the married woman playing me? I'm using fake names to protect myself and the people in the situation. So last year I got a very well-paying job in a new city that I'm enjoying. It's been a great fresh start and I met and became friends with Marcus. Marcus is a great friend and we're actually from the same area, and he's been introducing to me his friends and I made great connections. He has this one guy who's his best friend named Robert, and through Rob, I met his wife, Destiny. Destiny is so beautiful, and I didn't believe in love at first sight until I met her, but it was. I won't bore y'all with the details, but we started texting, and then that led to flirting and me confessing my love, and she professed her love too. Our relationship went from texting to physical. Also, important disclaimer, I don't consider Rob a friend. He's more of a mutual friend. Obviously, if he was my friend, this would be wrong. When we first started texting, I didn't know she would feel this way, so I was delighted. But she was super inconsistent because I felt like it was so one-sided. Rob has to travel sometimes for work, and when he does, that's when she's texting me. I expected her to divorce him like she said she would, but then makes every excuse in the book when I say to do it. They don't even have a kid yet, so it should be simple. I'll ask Rob how they're doing, and he'll say great. He didn't say a couple weeks ago, while things are great, he feels like this is a one-sided marriage, that he will talk to her about a more equitable relationship so he's not doing most of the emotional labor, and things will be great for a while and go back to their old ways. But he's happy with her. I wanted to tell him, bro, I can relate more than you can imagine. Eventually, I told her that I can't do this. I said, I want to be with you, but if we're just doing this for our own sexual gratification, it's not right. It's not fair to me, and most importantly, it's not fair to Rob, because Rob loves that girl. He will say, my wife this, my wife that. We can't have hypothetical conversations about other women because he'll just be like, my wife. Like one time I told him hypothetically if you could marry Meg the Stallion, and before I could finish, he said, I don't want to marry anybody else but my wife and wouldn't trade her for anybody. So yeah, I won't do that to him. It's one thing if we're going to have a relationship, but I feel like she just wants to hook up, even though she says she wants to be with me. We haven't done anything in a month since I said that, and she just sent me the song Dilemma. And it's like, girl, what do you want? I can't even focus at work right now. I really want to be with her, but man. Let it go, dude. It's a slippery slope just knowingly getting involved in an affair. Like, it would be one thing if she was leading you on and hiding the fact that she's married, but not only do you know she's married, you know her husband. So I don't necessarily agree with the comment, well, we're not friends. If we were friends, this would be wrong, but since we're not, this is totally okay. Like, don't meddle in affairs with married people. Just don't do it. Our next story is letting kid fail his way through school. Yes, I want him to go to school. He's missed 24 days this school year. I've tried asking him why he won't get up to go to school or if it's something wrong, and he just says there's no reason and nothing's wrong. I've asked him if maybe he needs a therapist, so he has someone to talk to besides me, and he said no, it's fine. I've told him that school is important, and if he keeps skipping school that he'll have to repeat the grade, but him knowing that doesn't help. I want him to grow up to be an amazing adult with a job he loves doing. I understand needing a break from school, but this is happening once or twice a week, and 2 times he's been gone for a whole week at a time. I'm just kind of stuck in a loop. Edit. I emailed the school asking for help yesterday, so hopefully they'll get back to me on Monday. I clearly want him to go to school, so I'm not sure why people are assuming otherwise. I'm literally on here venting and stressed about it. I have appointments and things I need to get done. I do not have a car, and public transportation does not go towards his school, or I would take him there. I cannot afford an Uber, or I'd absolutely do that. He takes the school bus to and from school, so after that bus leaves his bus stop, I have no other way to get him there, which is the only reason why he stays home. I'm a single dad and I have no help at all, which absolutely sucks, but don't assume someone's life from one block of text. I'm doing this parenting by myself with health issues, and I'm not making excuses. I just have hardly any choices on what to do, and it's hard to work with that. I want to say that I'm not giving him the option to go to school or to not. Sometimes he just won't get out of bed no matter what I do, and it's beyond frustrating. I do not want him to stay home. I want him to go to school and get a good education, which is why I want advice and help. I'm very thankful for all the nice, polite people giving me advice in the comments. I know I'm not a bad parent, I just have a soft heart because I've been extremely mentally abused as a minor. You know, with all due respect to that, I think that you may need to push just a little bit harder here, Dad, and let him know, like, I'm your parent. What I say goes, but it just appears to me, just from the information that we have, that, the kid just walks all over you. So, again, I would take a firmer stance, and, if he still continues to resist, then you're going to have to look at getting other people or outsources involved. MLA Chick responded, I'm sorry, what? I mean, I did get up and go to school on my own at 10, but not all kids do. This dad needs to put on his big boy pants and be a father. Get the kid out of bed, get food in his belly, walk him to the bus stop. Parenting is work. If he wants his son to go to school, he needs to want to be a parent. I feel so bad for this child being left with no structure or guidance at such a young age. He's too young to be in charge of a household on his own. Our next story is, my stepdad made my jaw hit the floor when I moved back in with them. I was about 22 at the time, the little ones around 9 and 6, so elementary school kids. This dumb F did not bother to set an alarm. The little ones did not own an alarm themselves, but he figured their natural circadian rhythm would get them up, and then they could just wake him up. This plan did not change even after I pointed out how ridiculous that was, and after the kids were late to school pretty much every day of the week. I took it upon myself to wake up with the kiddos, help them get ready in the morning. When they got a bit older, and I was confident in their ability to dress themselves, I was the one to get them an alarm clock, and quietly check that they remembered to turn it back on before I went to bed myself. A few years later, and he was ticked when he realized the school would call me if they ran into trouble. If they needed to come home early, they weren't troublemakers, and that the kids would come get me if they missed the bus. Turns out, if you want to be relied upon, it helps to be reliable. Go figure. Our next story is, he's just a butt. Hi all, sorry for the long one. This time last year, I, 29-year-old male, attended a close friend, Marie, 30-year-old female's, destination 30th. In the lead up to the 30th, a lot of drama was created as it appeared the birthday girl was targeting our mutual friend based on her decisions, timing, location, attendees, etc. Throughout the months leading up to the birthday, I reached out to her and lightly, I reread the messages and it wasn't so light, expressed concern about her decisions and asked for clarification. She gave me vague answers and said that's what she wanted, which I did not push further. During the night of the 30th, I got into a verbal argument with Adam, 30-year-old male. This is not unusual for our friendship. Adam debriefed with Marie and her boyfriend Trevor, 32-year-old male, and Trevor took the opportunity to tell me off and became quite aggressive before walking away. The following day, I reached out to Trevor via text message to clear the air, to let him know his actions upset me and to hope to move past it. Trevor sent me a long message outlining all the nasty things I'd said and done to Marie and Adam and telling me I'm a bad friend. While these incidents are true, they occurred over a number of years. I apologized and everyone moved on, or so I thought. I attempted to reach out to Marie, but she didn't respond. I had radio silence from Marie for 6 months, but after some encouragement from Adam, I reached out to her. I suggested we clear the air, told her Trevor's message was out of line, especially as he's not someone I know very well, which was the basis of my reply to his original message. Marie wrote me a long message outlining my snarky comments and judgment around her 30th, told me I've isolated her from the friendship group and then doubled down on the nasty things I'd done to Adam. She also told me she co-wrote the message I received from Trevor. I replied saying I'm sorry for some, not all of the events that transpired, and I don't want to continue our friendship. Adam has told me I was too hasty to cut her off and suggested I should have offered an olive branch, something that was not in her message. I'm from the understanding that after 6 months and a long-standing grudge from her, it's too late. I know I'm stubborn. I know I can be a jerk. But did I make the right decision? I think not respecting the boundaries that they set is kind of a jerk move. Like, if she's not talking to you, clearly she doesn't want to talk to you. You wanted closure for whatever reason, or it sounds like you just wanted them to hear, these emotions and feelings that you're holding on to. Let it go. I do think you made the right decision by just cutting them off because they had already kind of cut you off anyway. So just move on, man. Super Spiral responded, Trevor sent me a long message outlining all the nasty things I'd said and done to Marie and Adam and telling me I'm a bad friend. While these incidents are true, they occurred over a number of years. I apologized and everyone moved on, or so I thought. Translation: I've been acting like a Richard to my friends for years and then pretending I don't have to change my behavior as long as I apologize at some point. With that being said, guys, that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like and comment below, and if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. With that being said, I will see you all next time.